talking about the power of relinquishment. Getting rid of your will in exchange for God's. Amen? Letting go of some stuff that might interfere with where you need to be in God. Letting go of some stuff that might be a hindrance to what God desires to do in your life. Amen? Relinquishment. Doing it God's way instead of your way. Amen? If you're going to tap into the secret sources of God's power, you're going to have to understand the power of relinquishment. What happens when we relinquish things, how God can take us from this place to that place just from simply letting go of you. Amen? It's difficult for God to fill us up with more Him when we're full of us. Y'all gonna go with? Remember that the Israelites that died in the wilderness because they wanted it their way. Amen? They provoked God to anger, and He gave them what they wanted, but He sent leanness in their soul. They still weren't satisfied. And you see a lot of that in America today. It's all over the place. People have everything that anybody could possibly need or want, and they still not satisfied. There's something missing. And it's because God has given them or blessed them or whatever, but they have leanness in their soul. There's still something missing. And it's not good for the Christian to be in that state of mind or in that condition, because we supposed to be, whatever state we in, we supposed to be content. Amen. I know that that's what the words say, but sometimes that's difficult to achieve. But the Bible declares that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So when I ain't feeling it, Christ in me feeling it, and then I can get with the program. Amen. Because I have learned to relinquish my will for God. Amen. Paul said, don't do right, walk away. When you go get your hair did and they still want you to pay them and it ain't right, pay them and walk away. Just don't make no follow-up appointment. Amen? You still got to let your light shine because you don't know what God is doing in your life. Amen? Christians can't cut up. People are watching us. Amen? And they need to get to Jesus. And we're that doorway to help them get to Christ. We don't want them to us. We don't want them to serve us. We need to show them how to get to God. Amen? But that one little second we do something silly can hurt us so bad. But if we yield our flesh to God, He can keep us out of stuff. If He say go left, then that's where you need to go. Well, I've always wanted to go, and they invited me. They gave me a free ticket. And you rationalize in your mind how to go. Huh? If you got to do all that, you don't have no peace about it. So you're praying, I'm fasting. You going to the thing tonight, girl? Child, I'm praying, I'm fasting. But if you got to do all that, God's already told you what you need to do. So you just say no, I'm not going to go give my ticket to somebody else. I'm fasting and praying. Amen? I can't tell you how many times I drank and stayed home. Stumbled up the steps, but I won't drive it. Because I was in the army. And I had a little boy that needed me. And I needed that check. Untouched. Lacking no funds. If I had to pay taxes, that would be great. But I can't drink all night long and get in the car and drive, or I might get in trouble. So I drank all night long and I just stayed home. Until God delivered me. Amen. Until I found Jesus, Amen. Who won't lost by the way. Yeah. Amen? Amen. But I'm just telling the truth because it is what it is. We can't, then you get mad with the popo because he got you. You wrong. Sister Gwen, pray for me that I get out of this ticket. I'm not finna pray that you get out the ticket unless the ticket ain't right. So you tell me what you did. If the ticket justified, then I'm going to pray God be merciful. I'm not going to pray you out the ticket. God is a just God. a way to get your bill paid. I'm not going to pray that God hide your car. Now you want God to be an accomplice in your marriage? I don't think so. You want me to play a part in it? And sometimes when we choose our flesh over God's, there's a penalty that we have to pay for that. So we're wondering why God won't use us. We got to make sure that we're not working on our being. That God doesn't have us in the school of relinquishment till we learn how to do what is right before Him. Till we learn how to let go of our will in exchange for His. And there are some places I've been since I don't never want to go back. So I have to stay until God is done with it. Yes. Amen? Amen. That's right. Because I don't ever want to be back there with Jesus. He left as a fugitive, having buried an Egyptian. But when he got back into God's will, come on, y'all. And after graduating from God's school of relinquishment, he was able to bury a whole entire army in the Red Sea. Okay. Come on, y'all. Yes. When you in God's will, right. Look how many enemies he killed that day. God's enemies. Amen? It wasn't about Moses. It was about God at that time. But when we get in our flesh, we can mess up God's plans. And see, then he got to rework it and fix it. You know. But all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. That's right. Some people can just get over. And you wonder, well, how did they get out of that? Because God is working it for their good. Because he's got work for them to do. But you get the Lord is saying, no. But you keep on going because it feels good to your flesh. But it will keep you out of God's blessings. It will cause you to miss out on some stuff that God has in store for you. If my blessing is on 59th Street, I don't need to be on 31st. Because somebody else going to get my blessing. Who was there. Y'all go with me now. Jesus waited for the woman at the well. She was known to come when everybody else had already gone. Because she didn't want to be, talked about, mocked, and but so she waited. But Jesus waited for her. And she had an appointment that day with divinity. And we have an appointment with divinity also. And it's far better and greater for us to yield to what God has for us to do than to pay the consequences of not yielding later. Amen? I don't know how to make it any plainer than that. Everybody's got to do it. It don't matter what your family got. It doesn't matter where you come from. Everybody's got to choose or not to obey God. Amen? It's going to cost you something if you don't. It will cost you something if you obey Him too. It's far better than what it might. And then if I make a mistake like Moses did, you don't bury the man. You say, Lord, I made a mistake. Forgive me. I made a mistake, Lord. I stomped her down. I made a mistake, Lord. My flesh got it. Yeah, my flesh took over. And I forgot I was saved. I let the devil use me. And I let him use me good. Lord, forgive me. Amen. Do it quickly. Do it quickly. Don't let too much time go by because the enemy's setting you up. He comes when we're at our weakest point. He comes when we